Alright guys, today I'm going to show you the full install of the Wii MSK for the Daytona kit. So let's start off with the modifications required to the externals to drop the kit in. First of all, that's your stock plate right there. It's going to have a little bump on it. Obviously this needs to be removed completely, as you see I did there. So just shave as much as you can off down there. If you have a nice file, set it in there and really do it up nice. I took my time on it with the Dremel. It's still a little choppy in there, but it works fine, so I'm happy with it. So that's number one. Number two, if you want to keep your bolt catch in there, you're going to need to, right there, chop it off right at that level, and then I put it back together the way you take it apart, and I just put a little super glue in there, and it's holding in there real nice and tight. So you can remove it completely if you want, but then there'll be a hole here, which I didn't like. I thought that was ugly. Okay, third, I had to, might not be for everybody, but this part of the kit, when you're installing it, I had to Dremel a little bit out of here and sand it down a little bit because it wouldn't fit in properly. So it's supposed to be flush. As you can see, that one's nice and flush now. But then again, I've had this kit for a while and I've taken it apart 100 times. So it'll be tight at first, but it'll get looser. And then on to the only other part of the kit that really needs some modification is the Selectors Lever. So you're going to see here, gets into focus, that material has been removed from there. When you get your MSK, that second hole right here, not this one, but that one, this one right here will be filled with metal. Now this is steel, so this is good. So if you mess this up, you can actually go back, drop a spot of weld on it, JB weld if you want. The real weld works better, but you're just going to Dremel, just like I did. Right down there. And it's pretty simple. You just remove a little bit of material, reassemble it until you get it, take it back apart and get it to where it needs to be. I'll provide a close-up picture at the end of the video for this, so for anybody who's stuck on this part. Okay, now let's move on to the kit. That comes from TNK Guns. Tony's going to send you a small box and it's going to have all these parts in it. Now, this is your bolt carrier. It's going to come assembled like this. Inside of it is a little plunger. It's got some O-rings on it. If it comes apart, make sure you put the tie with the O-rings back in first. Okay? And if you don't already have some, get some of this, because you need that for everything for this. This is your hop-up chamber. This part's going to come on there along with the bucking, and this is the other part of the hop-up chamber. It's going to come assembled, put together. It's not going to be all screwed down. It'll be lightly assembled like this. Undo those two screws, and then just it'll come apart. The bucking will be inside, and if you don't already know how to R-hop your barrel, and that's what you want to do, please look at a video. This is already R-hopped, and I'm not taking it apart to show you guys. If you don't know how to R-hop this, you shouldn't be assembling this anyway. Okay, so that's the hop-up chamber. This little piece is going to sit in the top of the upper receiver. It's going to be where this Recoil spring guide rod mates up with. So it's what keeps everything kind of tight up there and allows your bolt to travel back and forth without going off track. This is going to be at the back of the receiver. It's going to be kind of what holds this into place, because there's no screws or any retention that holds this into the receiver. Just the selector lever and this. So your recoil spring guide rod, this part with the actual rod is going to be in your MSK. You are going to need that. This rod will not come from TNK guns. The spring, however, will. And if you're having trouble putting this together, this trigger pack, please refer to my first video about it. I know it was a while ago, but I decided that I was going to do a whole install for you guys. So if you're having trouble putting this together, it should come assembled. But if you wanted to take it apart and you couldn't put it back together, just refer to that first video. This is your air block. It'll come without this attached. This is a special hose. This is the new IGL. You can get them from Amped Airsoft, or you can get them from Tony himself. I'd buy it from Tony just because it's easier to deal with, I think. So I prefer getting stuff from him. And just a little Teflon tape on the threads, put it together. That's it. Easy peasy. Alright, so I think that covers everything. Oh, except for this is the upper receiver. I have it stripped down. This is part of the hop-up chamber. This is the rear hop-up chamber with the feed tube. This, obviously, I didn't want to take it apart. Getting this piece into the upper receiver in here is very tight fit, and I did not want to remove it because there's a couple little notches on the inside of this brass piece here that I actually broke off myself assembling it the first time. So it works just fine without it. I put a little bit of super glue on the outside of the piece of brass before I set it in place. So I don't actually need to take it out ever again. And if I do, I just need to tap it out with a rubber mallet. But when you're assembling this part, which is going to be probably the first thing you do as far as assembling the kit, you need to be very, very careful with inserting this piece through the front here. Okay? There's gonna be, I don't know if you can see in there, there's gonna be two little tabs that's supposed to be there. Mine aren't there anymore because I broke them. But they're not very strong, and you need to be careful or they will break. Like I said, gun functions fine without it. I don't need a new one, and unless you really jack it up, if you break yours off, I don't think you'll need a new one either. So just be mindful of that. Don't make the same mistake I did. Okay, so we're going to start putting together the upper receiver. It's pretty simple. Like I said, once you have your gun all stripped down, which you should know how to take your gun apart as far as removing the trigger pack and all the gas blowback internals. If you don't, there's hundreds of videos on how to take the Wii MSK apart. So like I said, start with like I did. You're going to tap this little piece into place, which you'll need to remove the feed tube, which I'm not going to because it's in there good, and I have a little tiny bit of Loctite on it because it was backing out on me. So I'm not going to take that apart. Also, before you install it, there's a little set screw here, right there. You can remove that because you're not going to be able to slide it through the front of it without the set screw being removed. And once you get it into place, like I said, it'll be flush with the inside there where the notches fit in there nice. Once you get it in there, you put your feed tube back into place, take your set screw, which is right there, and just tighten it down. The set screw will go, it will bottom out at some point, and you can just leave it there. If you'd like, I put a little drop of Loctite, just some blue Loctite, not the serious Loctite, just a little bit of blue Loctite on all these little set screws and grub screws because they're small, there's not a lot of threading on them. They like to rattle out. So be mindful of that, use Loctite. So that's how you start it off. Next is this little piece here, okay? Right up in here, it kind of just rests like this. Oh, I'm sorry, backwards. Like this. It's going to slide right into the upper receiver. Right down into there. And then, I mean, you might need like a small little poker tool. I have a little screwdriver here I like to use for this. And you're just gonna get it into place. You'll see deep down in there where it fits in. I have a little trouble. I'm going to pause for a second here until I get this piece in there, but you can see deep down right in there where it mates up with the hole. Okay, there's a little, it's the same shape as this. As soon as I get it into place, I'll come back and I'll show you how it looks in there.